Good to go. All right, good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday, October 16th at 7 p.m. and this is the regularly scheduled Water Pollution Control Authority meeting for the month of October. We have a posted agenda. Do I have any changes to the posted agenda? Mr. Devanzo?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to add under new business, item 5F, a motion to add 174 Brentwood Avenue for consideration.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right. Let's add it on. Any others?
Nope.
All right. So second order of business is the bills and communications, approval of the September 18th, 2024 meeting minutes. Motion, second. Comments? All in favor? Approved, unanimous. There is nothing under item 3, old business, so we will move to item 4, new business. Number 1, to consider, discuss, and approve connection of a proposed 24-unit residential housing development at 222 Stilson Road. Is there someone here? Oh, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Paul Bimini. I'm the owner of the property at 222 Stilson Road. My engineer could not make it tonight. He's traveling at the moment, so he asked me to step in, I guess. Right? Certainly, if you do have any technical questions, we can hopefully get them to him and we can address it. But I think the report was pretty extensive and conclusive. Basically, what we have at Stilson Road right now is a single-family house. It's going to be torn down. Build a 24-unit apartment building at that site there. Sewer lateral from the building to the Stilson Road will go into an 8-inch line that's in Stilson Road. And based on our calculations from our flow assessment monitoring and the engineering calculations, the existing line right now has a capacity of about 12.4%. And the proposed development will increase it to 14.1%. We had that was at a manhole which was upstream from the location. Okay, now downstream on Block Rock Turnpike, approximately where I guess A&S, or maybe some of you may remember the old Radio Shack. It's only a few of us that remember that. But that location there has a capacity presently of 58.3%. The proposed use is going to bring it up to 62.7% at that point. I don't know if you have any questions that I can answer.
Was reviewed.
By third party?
Oh, yeah.
No concerns?
Sorry, John. It was reviewed by Dennis and the third party.
Right.
And I reviewed it and actually it's there.
Yeah.
And pretty.
Sounds good. Chris?
I have a question. I read the Wright Pierce memorandum here, and maybe a question or clarification is that in the Wright Pierce memorandum, it has the plans provided for the property show all new units flowing by gravity to an existing private 8-inch gravity main from the Oaks condominium complex. Are you connecting into an existing private main or on a main on Stilson?
The main it's actually right before it connects into Stilson. It will be into that main that goes to the Oaks. The easement, and I have the right to do that under the easement.
And just maybe a clarification, I guess, on the WPCA side is that is there any regulations provided that you can't connect two separate parcels or owners into a private main?
There's no restriction in our
And
regulations.
there's provisions that if there's an issue, who's going to take care of it? Because it's all private main, correct? You're attaching into a private main.
I'm attaching into a main. I don't know if the definition is correct by saying a private main, okay? It's a main that's in a easement that's on my property.
Correct.
Which connects to the Oaks. Okay, that line has the capacity for me to be able to tap into that to go into the Stilson Road.
And who owns, like, my question is that I've usually been under the assumption is secondary connections or another connection has to be into a public main,
Well, my existing connection is into that line right now,
into a public or private.
into that private line. All private.
But then I'm assuming that if there's any issues in that main, who's taking care of it?
Well, I would assume it depending on where, I think that would probably fall under the easement regulations as to who's responsible for that.
Okay, I know there's a,
Responsible in the street.
I agree, and usually they've always connected, I've always been under the assumption as that you connect into public.
We've had somebody up on Bronson
Okay, as long as that's,
connected to a private pipe that eventually connected. This one sounds like it's a little closer to the street,
Yep.
but it's still a connection prior to the connection to the street.
and all we have responsibility for is that street connection. So whatever issues you guys have is.
To work out with the Oaks. Yeah.
Further questions?
Any additional comments, questions? Anybody?
So if there was an issue with your new property flowing into that private main, you're gonna go to the Oaks first, correct?
Well, that would be between myself and the Oaks.
Thank you.
We're just really following up on this. If the easement is verified as private, the applicant should provide documentation that they have approval to connect to this main and approval to install a structure on top of the sewer main and within the easement. Do we need that documentation before we vote?
So, I mean, I have no idea. My understanding is we're approving the flow into our system, which we have no concerns. We can make the approval subject to easements or, I mean, whatever we want. We could put a caveat on it if we feel we need, but
That's not our business, actually.
that's kind of how I feel too.
I don't know why that was
In there?
in there. I mean, what was Dennis's thinking, do you know?
It's a good question, but if we put caps on them, that would make it more accessible.
I don't have to connect into that. I can connect directly into the road.
Have you seen this, the report that was given to us?
The third party
Third party review?
No, I have not.
Okay. Because it was just something came up where that he brought up something where I guess more on the engineering side, that there's a structure over the existing main. It's like a concrete pad over the existing main there. And that's more on your guys,
Sidewalk.
maybe.
That's the only.
That's where, that I think is more on, that's what I think they're discussing now, but if you have
The
the,
only concrete over any of those, that private line is a sidewalk, and that's it.
Sounds like it'd be constructability anyway. That's way beyond our.
that's way beyond us.
The only thing we worry about, you're gonna have meters on your property for your 24 units.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's capacity.
Every single unit's gonna have its own.
And if they have to dig something up, Chris.
It's all private. It's
All private, it's all,
I'd rather,
it's all on him.
it's not our.
Right, so.
All right. Any other questions on this? Well, I have a motion.
Can I make a motion, please?
Yes,
Mr.
please.
I'd like to make a motion to allow the connection of a 24-unit residential housing project at 222 Stilson Road to connect to the Fairfield sewer system. The approval will be valid for 2 years. After 2 years, the applicant must reapply for approval. If an extension is required, the WPCA at sole discretion may require an updated I&I capacity report. You don't get this to us within 2 years. The I&I fees in effect at the time of the applicant's pulling the permit will be in effect. And I'd also, because they did do the
2 years the longest you can go on those?
2 year from today.
only because if you have an appeal on a project, sometimes appeals take a year and a half, 2 years.
Right.
That's why I'm asking.
We've had that before, but 2 years from today, that's what we're trying to, that's what we've done, that's what we do historically. Most people comply. Someone go to planning and zoning, come back 3 or 4 times because of the changes. And let me just finish the motion. And on this particular project, the fixed I&I fees will be waived because he did the analysis.
Yes.
Okay,
Second,
thank you.
Chris? Any further comments, questions? Chris?
You have, Joe, on your motion, you have 24 units there.
Yeah.
There's no bedrooms on there. Should you put on your average gallons per day at 4,500 gallons per day?
Yeah, we had that.
Oh, wait, now what do we have to do?
He's amending my motion.
I'd like to amend the motion for, where Joe said 20.
What unit?
4 residential units with an average daily flow of 4,500 gallons per day.
So second, we need a second to his amended.
And because second to that.
All right.
Discussion on his amended.
Discussion on the amendments. Please none. Seeing none.
Bring it to a vote.
To a vote. All in favor
Amendment.
of the amendments? All right, unanimous. I like Alyssa's hand.
Yep.
All right, now what do we do?
The original motion.
We go back to the original motion.
Had the discussion already,
Right.
so call for the vote of the original motion, my motion,
And
with his amendment.
we approve it with his amendment. Okay, thank you. All right, so all in favor of the original motion with the approved amendment? And Alyssa's too. All right, good. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks for guiding me through that. I hate amendments to motions. All right, item number 2 of new business, to consider, discuss, and approve connection of Shapiro Commons at 430-450 Stilson Road. See somebody on the phone. Is that Shapiro for Shapiro Commons?
Jason Edwards here at J. Edwards Associates,
Oh,
and representing the applicant. My office is the engineering firm that did the flow calculations.
Okay.
I was here back in August, I think, and we presented the report at that time. I think you had been indicated that it needed to go out for third-party engineering review, and I believe that's happened. But I can go through all the details again if you'd like, or I'm not sure if you want to hear it again or not.
It had everything on the list tonight had third-party review.
Right.
All good to go.
no concerns on any of them. All right. Discussion, or do we do motion first and then discussion? What are we doing? Where are we going here? Questions?
How many units are we talking about?
Hey, Jason, how many units are we talking about?
It's a total of 19, but one is the existing home to remain, so it's 18 new units.
With bedroom count or flow? What?
We had a design average flow of 5,505 gallons per day.
Yeah, this one's a little complicated. One of the houses is staying on the parcel and then they're building sort of, I guess, around it. They're adding 18 units.
But your daily flow doesn't include the existing home?
It does,
It does.
yes. So I did include that, yes.
Connection that they have to the, so Jason, you're not using the connection you have from the existing home to the street. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we have to put in a new new line into the manhole there, yeah.
So it's really 19 units at the end of the day, right?
You're putting 19 units into that existing, the new line that you're putting in there. You're abandoning the old line?
That's a good question. We probably don't have to, but if it's easier for the application's purposes, we can calculate it that way.
Well, It's a difference of the I&I fee. 19 units compared to 18. If you're gonna use the existing one, you would only have 18. If you're gonna make a new one on it, you'd have 19.
Or we can
I mean, I
offset.
think to be safe, we probably want to do a
Set.
new one just because
Putting a new one in.
it may be that they're in construction.
Set the
that's what we
existing
have to
flow.
do.
I mean, there's lots of ways to do it.
I mean, they're not changing the flow from the existing
There's an
property.
existing
Just
unit
adding the
there
18
They have.
new units worth of flow.
Right.
So the I&I fee should. be 18.
What's the flow on the 18 units, not including the existing?
Give me a minute.
No, that was with
That was inclusive.
Flow with 18.
No, that was 19.
No, with 19.
Trying to save a couple bucks.
Yeah.
So
5,215.
There you go.
5,215.
Yes.
Thank you.
152.
With 18 units.
That would be for 18 units, correct?
All the money we're saving.
Thank you. I guess we're my client. Thank you.
We should put the motion on the table.
Let's put a motion.
Can I just make a note of something that came up in the, our third-party engineer's technical review of this application? So just to let the commission know that there is a proposal for the installation of a pump station, I believe, as part of this connection. And no plans or specifications or siting for the proposed pump station was included in the materials that we've received. So just something to consider.
That would be a private pump station though, owned and maintained by the,
It would be owned and
For the
maintained by the applicant or the condo association, whatever this is in the end, would be on private property. The pump station is shown on the site plan that we submitted. It's down in the lower part of the site. But there's no way to get the sewage off the site without a pump station.
thank you for clarifying. Joe?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to allow an 18 development averaging 5,215 gallons per at 430 to 450 Stilson Road to connect to the Fairfield sewer system. The approval will be valid for 2 years. After 2 years, the applicant must reapply for approval. If an extension is required, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated I&I capacity report. The I&I fees in effect at the time the applicant applies for the permit will be in effect, and the fixed I&I fees will be waived.
Second? Chris? Yes?
Yeah, I am, for our last meeting. I'd like to put in there somewhere, for that, thanks for bringing up the pump station. I'd like to put in there somewhere that there will be no secondary connections to the pump station, from another property owners or something, so we don't get into a situation that we did before.
So, wait, I don't
I don't think you could legislate that. I don't think we have the authority to do that. That this is a private,
yeah, we can't restrict
it's
it.
a private pump station, right? It's gonna be on their, it's not gonna be our pump station.
Well, it's gonna go in
Something
for,
to ask the applicant in regards to siting.
Well, we'd have to, I mean, if we were to add another connection, we'd have to come back to you to add more flow through the site, right? So you'd have.
no,
No, they wouldn't, because the connection's not in the street. The connection would be on the private property.
We wouldn't be able to pump more out than what we're approved for, right?
yeah, but if you have, but then we're gonna get into a lawsuit because then all of a sudden we're gonna say, well, you can't do it, but we have capacity for it.
I mean, I'm fine with restricting it. I was just thinking that through the process, I would thought we would be stopped there. But if you guys want to somehow put some language in to restrict it, that's fine with us.
I don't know the language, but I don't want to,
I think you're on shaky grounds. I mean, we can't legislate that legally, I don't think.
can't we?
We make the connection to the street.
Yeah, but just like the other 222 Stilson Road, that they connected into a private line. We have the capacity. Okay, but they have the capacity for it. I just don't want to get into where all of a sudden everyone connects into this pump station like we did. on the, on prior ones and,
Peppermill.
yeah. And now, now we're dealing with it.
Or could we put the number of units as a restriction?
We
No,
did have,
bedroom
I
count?
did, in the motion, I had the,
I guess you had flow.
units in the flow, but
I guess I don't understand what you're even trying to do.
Because then if another, just say, Jason, if another development comes in next to you,
they're not
And-
building down.
and it's no gravity obviously there, so now you're gonna have to, they're gonna say, well, hey, I'm gonna give you $25,000, or can we go into your pump station? And you're gonna say, great, that's great, do it. 20
Well, I
years
mean,
down
it's
the
gonna
line,
be
it's
all
gonna
the
happen is,
Homeowners Association that's gonna have to approve that though. So you're gonna have 19 or 20 people that are gonna have to approve the additional maintenance on a pump station from an abutter that, is gonna pay him 25 grand. That's not as much to 19 homeowners as it is to just a single owner. But at the same time, I don't disagree with you that it's something that, should be thought about for sure. I'm just not certain how
You're
we can
suggesting
restrict it from our end at this point.
someone can bypass coming in front of us by going to the homeowners association. And so, I guess we could
all
say,
they have to do is they're gonna say, well, you have capacity in your lines.
so instead of restricting, saying no, they can't, just saying that any additional connections beyond the 18 into that pump station shall be subject to WPCA approval, which that I feel like we can enforce and should.
That's fine.
I would
That's
think
fine.
that should happen anyway, but I guess this is I'm fine with that belt and suspenders approach.
I like that.
Second.
We need a motion.
Yeah, so
You're fine with it? Let's hear a motion.
What were you saying, Matt?
what did I say?
You say. Any, because you're gonna have 19 units on that pump station, so any
Additional,
additional units above and beyond 19 units would have to come back to the, subject to approval for the WPCA.
That's fair. Yep.
I will second that.
all in favor?
Discussion on that.
I don't think so. Do we? Okay. Oh, sorry.
I don't know if
Go
that's
ahead, Rob.
I don't know if that's a discussion or a vote.
Oh, I think Rob is
Rob?
I think that was a vote.
Yeah, you hadn't called for discussion, you called for a vote, so I was gonna chime
Sorry,
in on the vote, but
I confused it. I was skipping discussion.
got it.
So seeing no discussion, go ahead.
Okay, so all in favor of the amended motion? Yep, we got unanimous. So now we have to vote on the original motion as amended. All in favor? All right, unanimous again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good luck with the minutes. Sorry, I'm gonna pay.
Yeah, how are the minutes?
Yeah, go get the
Good
minutes.
luck with the minutes.
Okay, good.
We'll get the minutes, right?
Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
So many votes.
It's not that many votes.
Let's go.
All right, the motion on the table.
I'm gonna get good at it. Retired now. Too much stuff.
All right, item number 3 of new business to consider, discuss, and approve connection of Fairfield Prep Addition at 1073 North Benson.
Evening, Kurt Krasinski from Fairfield University Facilities Department. The scope of work here is the removal of Brissett Gym on the Fairfield Prep campus and the construction of a larger facility. I think our report notes the increase in occupants from 800 to, I think, 1,200. March start for this project, and we're here for our second project also, but we can answer your questions regarding this one first. This is Brian Phillips from Langen Engineering. Site Civil, they do all our site development on campus. They're very familiar with what we're doing on campus.
Good. Any questions? Any questions?
I'd like to again just note something for the commission that was brought out in our third-party engineer's technical review of the cost. That the flow metering occurred during the summertime, which is likely to be the lowest occupancy campus.
What was the pipe capacities? Did they have any concerns related to the summer flow monitor? No.
Not specifically called out.
It was concerned because of the low population on campus, but.
Oh, right.
And we do the flow capacity, we do flow capacities with, people not even, using the units that are developed, so.
That was significant.
Yeah. So we have to consider that.
Right. Seasonal anomaly.
We did, when you did the townhouses, there, I don't think there was any concern with the flows then. That was 3 years ago.
Correct.
And he had flow monitoring done. And I think that was in like May or something that you did it. So it was when you were at full capacity, I'm trying to remember when it
Since
was.
then, we've added the Masonic Temple on that line. Believe it or not, that's the line that that Barlow line comes down. The Masonic Temple goes up the post road and around into that same,
They both, yeah,
Yeah.
Sonic Temple, they come this way and then go this way and then meet.
The two manholes that were.
yeah, no, yeah, you were okay with it.
Yeah.
I was just trying to explain to him, saying that was the last time we ran into this question.
Was that the building that was removed on Beach Road?
Yeah, that actually is sharing, that goes into your line.
Oh, that's right.
You guys caught a heck of a lot of rain events too.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. There was-
good, yeah, we,
God,
excellent. Whether the way it's going. Two, it may not be enough anymore.
Any additional questions or comments?
Had a, when we said 800 to 1200, what is that? What is that measurement?
So I can,
Gallons per day.
If you don't mind.
so the new athletic center is used primarily by prep students, prep faculty, and visiting students. The games that are occurring there now will still occur in the future, although it is a new facility. Per the public health code, the flows are based on student count. So there's no student increase associated with this new structure. The gym is getting larger and the occupancy for the gym is getting larger, and that's what the increase is based off of, the existing capacity.
400.
So an extra 400 people who don't currently work or go to school at prep are coming on, or could be coming onto the center for events.
So how do we calculate IN on that?
The 800 represents prep's current enrollment, which is pretty stable.
No, I think it's
Well, occupant
capacity.
Which just happens to be the whole school that uses the space.
Is it just a flow? I mean,
Is it the same calculation we used at 161 Hillside? I'm trying to just work out it's not their question, it's our question for INI. It's, the capacity is a third
there
more,
was an existing connection, an
800.
existing flow.
800 in the existing flow.
Whatever the flow is now, whatever it will be, I think we just subtract and then multiply like we did with one.
oh, yeah, exactly. No, but it's more just in the motion.
Yeah, I'm trying, yeah, I know how to do it,
Gallons
but
per
I
day.
don't know how to say it.
Just put so do we know what the gallons per day requested increase is?
No, that was
1400.
1400 per day.
Say just go with that. I guess based on additional, I mean, I don't know. if
That's,
No, whoa,
Or no.
you got, hang on, average daily flow, you got 1,000 gallons per day in the report. Not 1,400?
400 times 3.5, 1,400.
What was your report based on? 'Cause wait, am I looking at throughout Wright Pierce, Fairfield?
we got a dorm, we got
What was Arts and Athletic Edition?
Yep.
This is the one? 800 to 1,200 seats? Everyone looking at Devers there, additional 400 seats at 1,000? Average daily flow per day? That's what's in the third-party review.
Yeah, I go back to the original report then. There's a discrepancy.
It was in your original.
I'm willing to go 1,400, let the office
And what's the,
work it out.
Sure.
what was your
Got it.
8-inch sewer
Rather.
Round Hill Road connection? Was that 51%? 51.1%? All you're adding is 0.05% to that one, correct? I'm just trying to see what number, how can we get rid of number?
I think we want to move forward with the 1,400 in
I'd
case
rather
there's a
put the higher number
discrepancy.
in and then let the office.
He'll get the credit later instead of them having to come back to us because.
That's easier. Agreed.
You haven't seen the third party.
I can show the third.
Should.
I think we should.
You should send them a third party.
We should.
It sounds like.
So we're discussing it in front of them.
From them.
Yeah.
It's a little awkward here. Especially if they say, no, don't do it. Just go-
Yeah.
It's up to the commission, of course, but just for events. Instead of.
No amendments.
Hoping to not do that again, but if we have
We're gonna put a limit on you for the next.
to. Exactly.
I'm gonna cut off.
Put the motion on the table.
All right, please. That sounds good. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to allow the Fairfield Prep Edition at 1073 North Benson Road, which consists of an increase of 1,400 gallons per day to connect to the Fairfield sewer system. This approval will be valid for 2 years. After 2 years, the applicants must reapply for approval. If an extension is required, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated INI capacity report. The INI fees in effect at the time the applicant pulls the permit will be in effect. And in addition, the fixed INI fees will be waived.
Second.
Second by Chris. Discussion. No discussion. Vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank
Moving on to item 4, to consider, discuss, and approve connection of proposed Fairfield University sophomore housing at Barlow.
So the second project, once again, Kurt Krasinski, Fairfield University, Brian Phillips, Langen Engineering. The second project is a building on the south end of campus closest to Barlow Road, a building that's been many things to the university over the years. Our goal in March also is to renovate the east end of the building, which used to be a hotel when it was a financial services facility on campus, into a residence hall for 186 beds. Currently, the west side of that building is occupied by our University Media Center, and there is an active catering kitchen in the center portion of that building. So the development of the east end there will pretty much renovate and put that building back into full operation. Brian can answer any questions you have regarding the calculations.
Questions, comments?
Do you want to make a motion first or just then we can discuss it or?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to allow the connection of a proposed Fairfield University sophomore housing consisting of 186 bedrooms to connect to the Fairfield sewer system.
Just a clarification, it's 186 beds. There's 64 bedrooms.
64 bedrooms with
86 beds.
186 beds.
Correct.
To connect to the Fairfield sewer system, this approval will be valid for 2 years. After 2 years, the applicant must reapply for approval. If any extension is requested, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated INI capacity report. The INI fees in effect at the time the applicant pulls the permit will be in effect, and the fixed INI fees will be waived.
Second?
Second.
Second by Chris. Discussion.
Were these calculations done summer months like the previous project?
Yes. And
Thank you.
just to clarify,
Same study, isn't it?
this
It's the same study, right? Okay.
This project was cumulative. We also included the flows from the previous prep project in this analysis.
Right now, Mr. Chair, are you? What did you do with the priests that were living there? No, seriously.
It's not the same
That building had capacity. right? It was a hotel, but it was abandoned? Or do you have offset flow that we're not considering?
There is offset flow that we took into account.
Okay, I did. Right, Pierce? I didn't see that in there. Right up.
We'll have to refer to the write-up.
Okay, I didn't see it. Okay.
You're looking at 4,000 gallons per day you're adding.
4,160.
Yeah, 4,100.
So you're adding or what's makes,
That's adding, not a net number.
The 150, or sorry, 64 rooms existing were calculated for hotel use per the public health code.
Right.
That number was taken as a credit.
You did take it. That was my question.
you took that,
Okay.
you took that one and
So the,
subtracted out your,
Right.
so the proposed flow, we subtracted out the existing flow.
That's what I was asking.
Any other questions, comments?
No amendments? No.
All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
thank you.
Lisa, vote. Can you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
he
was. a
keeps
hand.
raising her hand. Yeah. Raising the cartoon hand. All right, new business item 5, to discuss and act on sewer use bill adjustments. 5A, 636 Kings Highway East, TMJ LLC, running toilet. Anybody? Who's got this?
I do that, nobody else does, but if you have somebody else that wants it.
I think it's all yours, Joe.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to make an adjustment to 636 Kings Highway East. What I'd like to do is propose to you, because of the leakage and the fix to that leakage, I would like to use last year's charge and multiply it by 3%, which was our rate increase, which brings the charge to $817 instead of the billed $1,763.
Second,
Second.
Chris, discussion? All in favor? Don't see Alyssa's hand.
She is in an airport.
Right. So, all right.
Sorry, I'm abstaining. I cut out for a while, so I'll
Okay,
abstain
sounds
from
good.
this vote. Thank you.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. So 5 and 1 abstention. All right, 5B, 360 Reef Road, Sanchez, Grace, and Jose, running toilet.
And
Mr. Vice Chair.
I'd like to make a motion, again, similar to 636 Kings Highway. The applicant proved a toilet issue that was repaired, and the flow in the subsequent months have come down to a more normal flow. In 2023, we billed them $1,166. I am proposing to make an adjustment. Last year, they paid $441. What I would like to do is take last year's usage and multiply it by 3%, providing a bill of $454 for this year.
Second by Chris, discussion. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. 5C, 275 Old Post Road. Take it away, Joe.
This one is a little bit more. It was actually a $68 part that they put in. We had billed them for a leak. It was we billed them for a sewer bill of $22,382. This is 275 Old Post Road. I think it's the condominiums down in Southport. Their bill in 2022 was $13,885, so don't be shocked. Their bill in 2021 was $13,141. I've checked out their usage after they made the adjustment, after they proved that they did the fix, and their water bill came right back into line with their 2022 consumption. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to propose for 2023 to take the 2022 usage, multiply it by 1.03% or 3% increase, which makes the sewer bill for 2023 $14,301, which is quite consistent with their $13,141 and their $13,885 from the prior 2 years.
Discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. 5D, 25 Westway Road.
Yeah, 25 Westway Road is a little different. Looks like the people probably go away for the winter because their usage in the winter months typically is way, way down. However, this past winter, where we go December through April, their usage was way, way up. We billed them $19,479 versus last year's $214. Better than that versus the year before's 2020 of $175, which is about the minimum. Here's where we have a problem. Because when we have people that go away for the winter, their usage is way down. But then when you look at the other months, May through October, they look pretty normal and we don't bill them for it. However, if we go with our normal billing procedures, 25 Westway should be adjusted and we should be charging them I'm recommending we charge them last year's consumption of which was $214 times the increase in the rate of 3%, which brings their bill to $220.42 versus the $19,079.
Second. Chris? Discussion?
You don't turn
Quick
it
quick
on.
question.
What
So
was the
we're-
reason for the usage here?
What's it say?
What's,
Yeah, Melissa?
Sorry, what was the reason for the high metering?
A leak.
a leak that they showed documentation that was fixed.
3 months without turning their water off.
Wasn't it 2 months?
That's a big leak.
That's a big leak.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. And 5E, 240 Sunny Ridge Ave.
Okay, this one. I forgot what happened on this one, but this one, 240 Sunny Ridge, is those condominiums over there. We billed them $72,588. I gotta go back and look. I don't remember what this one was, but was it a leak?
It's a leak, yeah, water main leak.
Yeah, it was a water main, yeah, I threw this on there, hopefully, we could discuss it.
Okay,
Really, the backup, this was a last minute thing, so.
no, well, the one after this is the last minute. This one was in there, 240. Yeah, that was the last one. Okay, so we billed them 72,000. Their usage in 2021 was 19,700. Their usage in 2022 was 20,071. So 72,000 is.
For 3X.
Yeah, I just don't remember I just don't remember what the detail behind this was. I know what my recommendation would be. Take last year's usage and multiply it by an increase of 3% and charge them $20,673. That's what I'd recommend. I just don't remember the backup. I mean, I'd have to go back.
Second? Second by Chris, discussion?
Sorry, I just have another question about these leaks. How are we sure that they're not actually discharging into the sewer? You know, a sump pump situation or some other drainage?
That's why we're giving them the credit.
Well, they most likely, I'd say probably a lot of them are, unless it's a leak that floods the basement, but a lot of them are a leaky toilet, Alyssa, or something else that does flow into our sewage treatment plant. And I think it's not, we're still treating it, but it's not full wastewater, but I don't know, it just seems like it's crazy. We're giving people credits and we're giving them back, and there's like no incentive for anyone to save water or for anyone to do, to look at it. There's like no pain here.
So Aquarion gives a one-time credit for these type of things. We're following a similar suit. If these people come back again with the same issue, and
I don't know, I don't know, it just seems crazy to me. Like, here you are, you go away for 2 months and you don't shut your water off. It's like, that's just, you gotta conserve water here just as the right thing to do on this. And it seems like, I don't know, it just seems like it seems like some of them, there should be some pain, but I know this is our standard on what we do. That's what,
all means, feel free to.
no amendment, that was my
Quick comment.
discussion. That was my
Yeah,
discussion. I'm done.
quick comment as well. My water company will send me a letter if I water my lawn more than 2 days a week, and that letter comes pretty darn quick. So why is it that these folks aren't getting communication from the water company saying, hey, you have an issue?
They're not there, they might not be here, they might not be there.
Not forwarding their mail and not turning off their water.
Well, that was only one of the 5 to away.
I know.
Looks away.
It's like when we get,
The other 4 were there. Although the last guy has a tenant.
I can see where it's a homeowner and I can see where it's an individual homeowner and they got a leaky toilet, but some of it is just like if it's complete negligent or you got a condo and you're not taking care of your stuff, then, backflow preventers technically should be inspected every year. So you shouldn't have that. That's the codes. That's what it is. So obviously they're not doing it. But
We're more than welcome to vote no.
I'm done. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, thoughts?
I mean, I would like to have more robust discussion on this before the next cycle of them next year. I know it sounds like this is kind of par for the course. But yeah,
Elisa, the next cycle may be next month. This is only the first wave. We
yeah.
typically get more than 5 or 6. We probably get about 15 or 20
So
typically.
we no longer even vote on the small ones.
And we don't, the only ones that come to us are adjustments in excess of $2,000. All the other ones go to, we've delegated that to the tax department.
Right. And so we haven't had these in a few weeks.
First time in 6 months.
Well, the bills just went out October.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
You don't get one, so you didn't pay, you didn't recognize it.
Never will.
And John,
Unfortunately.
We put that sewer system up.
I would love that.
situation that Chris brought up with the smart covers and everything, so we can find out the hot spots where.
If it's significant enough, if it's a leaky toilet over,
Yeah, we're not getting,
we're not gonna see it.
Sunny Ridge one might have been
Sunny Ridge might-
the only
yeah.
potential.
Yeah.
blip
What
that
was
we-
the reason for what was the reason for this
Water main.
one? Water main leak.
2.5-inch ball valve.
There you go.
That's on the.
I mean, 72,000. That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water they lost.
Could have been Center Street Pump Station was so high.
All in favor of approving the amendment for 240 Sunny Ridge? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All six. Okay, 6. All opposed? 6 and 1. Motion passes. Thank you, Joe. And then I guess we have a 5F, right? We added that to the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have the address, so if you want to just take it away.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, 174 Brentwood Avenue. This one came in today. This is an interesting one. This is a gentleman who lives somewhere in Virginia, I think. He rents 174 Brentwood to a tenant. The tenant was evicted through the courts. The gentleman provided the eviction notice. He had trouble getting the tenant out, and the tenant would not allow the plumber in. So he was not able to fix the issue that they had. So last year, I'm sorry, so 2021, there was their bill was $442. Last year, their bill was $806. And this year, I have it in front of me, I think it was $1248. It was a bigger number. So I am proposing that we use last year's usage times 3%, which provides an invoice of $830, which is consistent with last year's usage.
Second. Chris?
Second.
Discussion? Discussion? All in favor? Look at that one. That one.
You were spot on with 1248, Joe.
Unanimous.
Yeah,
1248.
I had that one in my mind. The other one, I didn't read enough about it. Remember it.
All right, new business item 6, to discuss and act on inflow and infiltration fee adjustment for 161 Hillside Road. Who's got this one?
I do. I got this. That was the old bank that is now the new daycare center that we approved. I kind of made a suggestion that we take the old flow that the bank had, which was 500 gallons per day. Take the daycare 936, subtract 500, we come out with 436 gallons per day times 2888 equals 12,591.68.
Sense to me.
Just because I read the motion and the INI fee was mentioned in the motion to charge at the current rate, so it all seems fair. So that being said, if there is an existing connection moving forward and somebody repurposes the building, we go with this type of,
Credit the existing flow.
we'll just have to put that in a rule or policy, not a policy, a procedure for the WPCA. That's all. I just wanted everybody to kind of know how we got there and
Motion?
I'd like to make two motions.
Sure.
One motion is I'd like to accept the calculation as explained by John, which was very elegant. I think I put that in a memo to you. And 161 Hillside's already done, right? They're building it, so I don't have to put the 2 years or anything else in it. So
we approve that in.
we approved that in March, right?
It's an adjustment, it's a credit, so.
So that's the whole thing. I would like to make a motion to charge 161 Hillside with
12,591.68.
Second. Chris, discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right.
second motion that we amend the INI policy to include a calculation that reflects this situation where we have a commercial usage and we charge them the net difference. And that's the times the current current INI fee. I'd like to add that to our policy.
Second.
Discussion, can we do that since it wasn't on the agenda?
I don't know.
Joe, you're the buddy.
We can make a date certain for November.
We can make a motion to add.
Make a motion to add it to the,
I make a motion,
Deferred.
right now, you
I
need
make a motion
a
to,
two-thirds vote then.
make a motion to
Today's
add
agenda?
agenda item 6A or under new business 6A to the agenda for calculation of the INI fee going forward.
Second the motion.
Discussion on that? All in favor? Unanimous. I think we just lost Alyssa, so
You must be flying.
6-0 unanimous. And so then that was an amendment to your.
No, that was to add it to the agenda.
Oh, that was to
Now
add it
I'd
to
like
the
to make a
agenda.
motion
Got it.
to add to the INI schedule a net charge using the current INI fee, net of the old usage versus the new usage.
Second. Chris, discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
Heather, you want me to send you an updated?
Yeah.
schedule?
How to do that. So
I can send you the schedule.
Yeah.
So do you want me to send you the schedule with the update on it?
Thanks, John.
Sure.
Easy one. Moving on to item 7, to discuss and act on removal, replacement, and recontrolling of digester boilers.
That's me again.
I had a feeling.
In our capital outlay in this year's budget, we had set aside $55,000 for new digester boilers, which are 24.5 years old. My fault, I didn't realize that the removal and installation was going to be as much as it is. And there's not a lot of people willing to do it. But we have the 55 for the boilers in the budget. We are soliciting quotations right now, see what we can get for removal and installation and hooking up the old controls to the Siemens control stuff. So we're working on getting quotes and we're working with purchasing and hopefully we can do this out of our operating budget. But we're going to follow the rules and come up, get the quotes and then work with Adam in purchasing and move forward.
Okay.
So I can answer any questions.
So
I can't tell you why I didn't think of adding installation.
it says discuss and act. What are we acting on?
Well, I think we want to act on approval at tonight's meeting, just in case purchasing is not on board with our proposed path forward and taking the full cost out of our operating budget. So we're preparing just so we don't delay any further or delay about another month.
So what do you need? How much?
Well, we've been working on it.
100?
Moves
I
right.
think 100 would probably cover it.
Okay, so not more than. When I make the proposal, not more than 100, does that cover you?
What is the risk of not doing this? I just want to put that on the record.
You should put the motion and then we could discuss.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So
I'd like to increase it to slightly more than 100.
I would say 110
There's
or
unknowns.
120.
Yeah,
120.
I would say 120.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve not less than $120,000 to be used to replace, is that the right word? Place and recontrolling of the digester boilers.
Second. Chris, discussion.
There you go.
Okay, to answer your question, what happens if we don't?
Right.
Can I take you back to the summer of 23? I don't want to go. The boilers heat the primary digester. That's what aids in digestion. We want to digest, we want to keep that process going, hence the reason for boiler replacement.
Of 24-year-old boilers.
24-year-old boilers. They were just serviced. As of right now, they're in good working. Now,
Chris?
Joe, on your motion, I think you said not less than 120. Did you
Less than,
then?
not more than, up to, I said,
I think you said not less than.
up to.
Make the edit.
So
oh boy, another.
No, we'll make it in the minutes.
Okay.
I misspoke. We'll make it in the.
I heard that too, and I saw your face, and I was just like, I think Chris is
Sorry,
making
Chris.
it.
I don't want to make any more amendments. I'm trying to-
So what do we have to, what do you have to do this work? You don't have to empty the digesters or anything. It's separate. It's, we don't have to tell the neighbors that this is.
These are heaters.
Right. I just
We're
want to.
replacing the heater.
There's two.
What do I know?
There's two. So the whoever gets it would take one out, put the new one in, take the other old one out, put the new one in.
Okay, thank you.
Do they run N+1 kind of thing?
They alternate, but in the winter time, if it gets cold, they'll run.
Run both. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the fuel?
We use the methane that the digester produces, and if we supplement, natural gas.
Thank you.
Did we already? No, we just did discussion. So all in favor?
Well, this is bad.
Then?
Yeah, sorry, abstaining.
She's off the
Working
plane.
on for all of it.
Abstain. Okay, yeah. Alyssa abstains. I think she missed a lot of that discussion. Motion passes 6-0 and 1. Where are we at? Now we're on new business item 8 to consider and discuss Mill River Pump Station force main replacement, engineering cost estimate and schedule prepared and submitted by Ty and Bond on October 11th.
So we've received Ty and Bond's proposal for the design phase of replacement of our dual force mains for Whitmiller River Pump Station. The design cost is $200,000. This is could be slightly below pending on whether WPCA's own road crew has the capability of TVing the line ourselves, or we use a contractor to TV the line. I think we've already gone this route as part of the evaluation investigation phase for phase 2 of the pump stations. And we've maximized our capacity, our own CCTV capacity. So we would be moving forward with the higher cost estimate of the $200,000. Schedule for design completion would be 9 months out. So if we were looking to sign on to this proposal in November, that would bring us out to midsummer, so July. With this proposal, Ty and Bond also provided us pros and cons of pipe bursting versus lining. Pipe bursting would require additional cuts, so we'd have to have additional openings in Sturgis Road, so something to consider. The pits would also have to be larger to accommodate that process, and we would need some additional soil investigative work to understand what the surrounding soil structure would be. So we'd have to ensure that there was no ledge or rock, that we'd actually be able to perform that bursting process. This proposal for the design is not accounting for pipe bursting, just accounting for open cut and lining. It's also, it's accounting for replacing the spare and then working on the active force main. And it's also inclusive of recommending additional investigative work for the spare as part of the design.
We doing, what is this act too? No, consider and discuss. Is this just an FYI?
This is an FYI. We talked about it at last month's agenda. We wanted to get the feedback from our consultants to bring for discussion purposes, and just basically FYI that we'll be moving forward.
Okay. So questions?
So I guess for why Ty and Bond? What?
So we've already entered into a contractual agreement with Ty and Bond for performing phase 1 and phase 2 evaluation, investigative analysis of the pump stations. It's true, we haven't entered into design services for phase 2. This would be the first. This was earmarked to be the last of the pump stations, but because of the initial evaluation, they're bifurcating the fourth pump station work. So they are proceeding with design services for phase 1 pump stations. We'll be moving forward with that with each soon.
Is the work all the pump stations go out to bid? But Ty and Bond were
For task 1, which was the evaluation and investigative work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions? So in terms of this design task includes additional investigation.
It does.
How might that impact the actual design though? Like, how do they have a scope for design when they aren't positive what they're designing?
Yeah, I mean, that would have to be, it's a good question. And I don't have the answer to that.
But you said you needed the 200,000 or not?
No, that's just what they're currently.
This is what the proposal is. So I was asked after, as a result of last month's meeting, to come back with a cost estimate for design services and what the duration of that piece of the project would be.
And it's under review right now, or they've been approved?
Haven't been the FYI, bringing this factual information back to the commission.
Okay.
Question, Michelle, if I may.
Yes.
Is there any compliance deadlines associated with this fix that you're going to run into if this gets extended for quite a while, or are you good with the compliance deadlines, or are there no pertinent compliance deadlines that are pinning you in here at all?
We don't have specific compliance deadlines, but as discussed last month, the active force main, there are 7 points of probable failure in that line, which is why we are looking to expedite and bifurcate this part of the project. From Mill River was originally scheduled to be addressed, both the pump station and the force mains, not until I think the year 2030 or 2032. It was going to be the last of the pump stations with force mains. We're going to address both together.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
Do we know if it's failed? Do we know if there's an active leak?
We don't know if there's an active leak. I think for 3 of the 7 potential points of failure, it was greater than 90% probability.
You have flow monitors over there, right? Did they pick anything up? Don't you have flow monitors over by the mill thing? Pump station?
Not by that one, no.
Really, so for one, part of the force main's going under the river, so there's water all around it. So I mean, even if you had water type or moisture sensors, you wouldn't pick that up.
Isn't there a manhole it goes into before and then?
And then it's a force main, so it's pressure pipe. So any leaks would be outwards instead of inwards, so you wouldn't be picking up additional flow.
Just to clarify, the leaks were all identified in the part of the run of the force main that's within Sturgis Road, not under the Mill River.
That's good.
Which is a plus. It's like, that was like the good things we put on last month.
It's the right place to have it.
And this is the worst force main that we've had, like for all the,
Well,
when we did the.
so for the 7 pump stations that we've, Bots completed the evaluations for us on, this is
why we bumped it up, is because we're concerned with, we're concerned with the force main. And then I think last meeting we added 2 pipes in back in the 60s or whatever. Now you're like, we can't really
felt like it was
use
the 60s because I said they're 40 years old, but it was actually like 1980. How can that be
It's only 40 years now. But then in the Italian boundary report, they're still gonna investigate the condition of that. And I thought we're kind of like, well, why are we?
But
And I think that it's definitely a valid question to bring back to the consultant as part of this proposal. Investigative work should have been completed. We do have their draft report for all 4 of the phase 2 pump stations.
So further, my understanding of the situation, and I'm not intimately involved in the project, is that additional investigation can support more narrowing down their ultimate goal of point burst versus trenching versus lining. Lining is obviously the cheapest option, but you have to make sure that lining is even feasible to do it. If you're going to try to line something that's already failed, that has too much of a bend or any of those type of things, then you're not going to be able to.
Yeah, I mean, I know part of this is because of the limitations that we encountered with TVing the line ourselves. And so because we've encountered those limitations, we do need to subcontract that work out, and then we'll be able to have that additional data to act on.
So are we talking about potentially TVing both lines? Or can we shut down Mill River Pump Station I didn't think so. Okay. Like most pump stations, you can't turn them off to go line.
So you're still investigating the secondary.
Line.
Right, yeah, exactly. Okay.
See if we can just almost line that one and let it be.
Line the spare.
And then use that.
Lines that and then investigate the other one.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, status update on sewer bypasses.
Nice. You even had rain in.
Yeah, that's true.
You were checking them on the, I hope not.
Just let it lie like that.
Item number 6, capital improvement projects updates. 1, secondary digester cleaning and repair.
John and I will tag team this because he and Ron Wallace, our assistant super, have been boots on the ground, and I've been managing the admin piece of this. Cleaning's been completed. Upon completion of the cleaning, there was a finding that the rail system within the digester, so structural support for that unit, is significantly impaired. It's significantly corroded, not surprising due to the age of the unit and the corrosive environment within the unit. Due to that finding, we've been set back a couple weeks now on the project. So we were originally earmarked for scaffolding to have been installed to allow for inspections of the inside of the unit last week, with inspections being performed this week. That work hasn't been completed yet. So now we're looking for inspections to be completed towards the end of this month, early November. We were originally looking to put that tank back in service around Thanksgiving. That's being pushed out to mid-December now. Any additional info you'd like to add, John?
I think you covered it. The watering was done. There was 0 odor complaints. The amount of sludge that was guesstimated going out of there was, what did we guess, 200 dry tons? And I think we did 50.
Less than that, yeah.
Wow, okay, that's great.
And for the most part, other than the corroded rails, the rest of it looks pretty good.
Okay.
So
What's the repair for the corroded?
because the skirt and the wall are this close and they're bolted in, coming up with a plan of maybe cutting the skirt on the inside to get to the bolts, unbolt, drop down, new ones.
Okay.
And the rollers were already ordered and on site, so we're not waiting on that. It's just the SpectraServe is pretty sure they can fabricate the rails that are needed, so it's just getting scaffolding set up, cut a window, unbolt, rebolt, and then the proper patch over it and coating. So SpectraServe has been pretty good about this, so.
So this one was in your budget. This one was not in. So
Yeah.
how is this going to affect your operating budget? And what's the cost above what we thought it would be?
We're still operating within budget.
The 375, was it?
Well, 150-ton difference between what we budgeted and actual, so that's great.
We're running under with the waste disposal. I know that it came up with the contractor yesterday in regards to, because we contracted out lump sum, negotiating.
Because if you give them,
Disposal was,
you give them a limit, if it's over 20% or under 20%, the contractor has a right to say, let's discuss this because, we're going on the premise of this much, and
Right.
it's only this much. So
Okay.
that was discussed at the meeting yesterday, and we just said, listen, we understand secondary, let's get the rails going, let's get the repair done, and then we'll
horse trading. It's really.
talk about that down the road.
But so they're not asking for a big change order on the railing because they've
Right
already.
now, they know what they gotta do. They know what they gotta do.
Right, okay.
They understand the discussion that'll happen. They want to get it done. We want to get it done. So it's been amicable.
Okay. Any other questions on that one? Item number 2, Phase 5, I&I sewer rehab.
I'll report out on this. So no significant changes since last month's report out. Our next monthly progress meeting with Wright Pierce is scheduled for October 30th. We're looking for a delivery date of a 90% bid package for November 1st. So we're still in line for that. The question arose during last month's meeting of this commission about how we are going to address private I&I. And it was recommendation coming from the operational side is that this be addressed outside of the Phase 5 work. There was a question about what is the significance of the flow from private I&I? I did take a look into that since that meeting, and it accounts for 4% of the total INI that's being addressed through phase 5 work. So it's 4% of the total amount. So it's not a significant
Right, yeah.
portion.
And that's illegal connections.
So, yeah, those are legal connections. This is something just from my own experience in working with INI that recommended approach would be, first of all, outreach and education to our residents. I don't believe that we've provided that type of outreach and education previously. We have not addressed private INI through phases 1 through 4 of the work that we've performed. So again, a recommendation would be to consider, let's address this more holistically outside of this phased-in approach.
I agree. It's not worth the hassle for 4%. Yes.
I think is the first selectman's office going to be writing a nice report of us going through the WPCF. Maybe we could address it that in his report. Please make sure that there's no, we're, continuously monitoring the flow, can we all?
The newsletter?
Yeah, maybe we could put the private connections in, please make sure no sump pumps and stuff are connected into your sewer as it affects all residents.
A great idea.
Maybe we could put it in Brenda's report too, as she does.
Repeat, and repeat again.
I need to know the WPCA, every single letter. Any phase 5 INI repair work?
We haven't started it yet. So this is design. Again, we'll have the 90% bid package for construction ready to go for the first of
On record,
the
you
year
guys have to talk to
2025.
Wright Pierce. I mean, they were almost a year late from what they proposed, what they said they were going to deliver the report. They were almost a year late. Now, to get to the repair, they are really, that report should have been, phase 4 ended 2 years ago at least, didn't it?
I think we just authorized them on design though earlier this year. It's
Yeah.
actually not
I
that.
think this is actually running on schedule.
Yeah, this is pretty
But-
decent timing.
I think you should just look at them going
I
forward.
have my issues with the whole program, but
Yeah,
not
yeah,
this package.
okay.
This package.
Maybe not this one, but they are really behind. I think if you look at phase 4, the last work we did
That was a long
was a
time.
couple of years ago. And we haven't even started any repair on phase 5, whether it's our problem or their problem.
Sure.
You
yeah.
got to look at that schedule going
But I think
forward.
between design
okay.
authorization and now, it's actually not been.
Okay, maybe it's not this one, but
My
certainly.
question though is, have they provided any updated opinion of cost, of construction cost? Any updated budgets? I've heard 3 million was the most recent number.
It's still the most recent.
You've got 4.5 million approved through all the town bodies, so.
Does that 3 million include the private things that I think we all maybe agree is not worth the hassle?
That was inclusive of that.
Okay. Any other questions?
Folks, pardon me, I'm gonna have to sign off here. I've got a commitment.
All right, thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Any other questions on INI? Ron, you got a question?
It's on mute, I can tell you that.
He raised his
He
hand.
raised his hand.
Ron, do you have a question on INI?
I think he's hearing us. Is that mute on us or
Wait a
that?
minute. No,
Okay.
I'm just saying goodbye to. I just-
Oh, okay.
I avoid my- saying goodbye.
All right, item 6.3, phase 1 pump stations, Fairfield Beach, Center Street and South Pine Creek.
Again, no real significant updates. Biweekly progress meetings have initiated with our consultant, Tyan Bond. We hadn't been performing those biweekly progress meetings with them until just last week. That's important moving forward, especially because phase 1 did lag behind. The basis of design report for phase 1 is due in December, and Tyan Bond will be providing us their final report for the same on phase 2 by the 18th. So this Friday. Next step will be for us to issue a purchase order to initiate task 2, so the design phase for Fairfield Beach. That's where we're at.
Questions? All right, phase 2 pump stations.
I think I just also gave the update for.
Any questions on those? All right, WPCF equipment upgrades and UV disinfection system is specifically listed.
Yeah, so we're getting this on the commission's radar, that this will be our first priority as we move forward with the capital improvements of the facility itself, as recognized, I think, by all of us at this point. It's our single point of failure, especially when it comes for the compliance of our discharge, no redundancy there. We have a system that has exceeded its end of life. We are challenged in locating spare parts to service the system outside of ballasts and bulbs. We're looking at what is a $1.1 million purchase. And from the Woodard and Curran assessment earlier this year, that's not inclusive of design and installation services. Town of South Windsor is currently replacing a very similar UV system. And they have $1.1 million was earmarked for that as well. So this is in line. We're benchmarking with South Windsor. Yeah. That's really my update for the commission on this.
And I heard from Bertie that the commissioner might have gone to a seminar or some.
I went to WEFTEC.
There you go. Was there any update on
tried
type of equipment?
I tried to talk to the Trojan guys. They were constantly busy with other people.
Everybody's
Every
replacing.
time, it seems like maybe it's the big thing to do, but I could not talk to a single person in there. They had this gigantic, I think it was a 20 by 20 or so booth,
And
and
buy him a drink at the bar or something and talk to them? Okay.
I mean, you wouldn't have to buy it.
There was enough.
It was all,
Following.
it was
To look at another.
in New Orleans.
Oh, okay. Even if you talk to them, you wouldn't remember.
Right. So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to talk to anybody from Trojan at WEFTEC. So
Thank you. That's a big one.
Yeah.
that is it. Any other questions on UV? All right. I guess one comment I have on that is I mean, obviously you still have to do design, but we know what we want. I think the design can be a little bit designed by vendor from that perspective. So design shouldn't be crazy. But we'll see. Item number 7, other Public Act 24-59.
The fun one. So Public Act 24-59. So this is restrictions, state restrictions on the disposal of products containing perfluoroalkyl substances. So perfluoroalkyl substances are man-made, chemically manufactured substances that are persistent in the environment, bioaccumulative in our bodies, and living organisms, are repel oil and water. They have been in many, many products that we use in the day to day. So we think fire retardants, we think about the materials such as Gore-Tex, food packaging, Teflon, those types of things. What we are particularly interested in for our WPCA operations is this Public Act's ban on land applying biosolids containing PFAS, period. And so what this Public Act specifically, how it reads is no person shall use, sell, or offer for sale in the state as a soil amendment any biosolids or wastewater sludge that contain PFAS, period. And this is as of October 1st, 2024. So there's a few things here that I question, and I've asked the folks at Connecticut these questions. One, what's the test method? Two, we need the list of analytes to be considered. And three, we need a threshold for what no PFAS is.
Right.
The state doesn't have answers to these questions yet.
So even though it's 10-1, it can't be regulated yet.
Past, come and
It
gone,
can't be regulated.
but.
Those are key
those are
questions.
And now,
It's in violation now.
No, they haven't defined what violation is.
I don't know. There's the public access, no.
it's great,
Extremely.
it's a gray area. The department would be using enforcement discretion. They know that we're unique in this state, that we are the only facility with composting, right?
Just Danbury?
And they,
Just Danbury do it?
I thought there were two in the state. We're the only
I
ones?
think it's just us. I think
Good.
it's just us.
Just us?
And they know that we're operating status quo right now.
Okay. I will follow. Stanford has a dryer or some kind of pelletizing unit that does not get rid of PFAS, so they do make a pelletized soil amendment from their sludge, so it's not technically composting, but same idea.
So the state has not promulgated any compliance levels for PFAS in soils or in groundwater or in wastewater at this point in time. There are other states that have done this. So the closest state to us, I think, would be Maine. Maine has a very similar ban on land application of biosolids containing PFAS. They have identified what no means. They've defined that. Other states include Michigan.
How they defined it, out of curiosity.
Gosh, they've defined it by parts per billion. I think they're at like 4 parts per billion when they.
Drinking water's 4 parts per trillion.
Drinking water is in the trillions.
Oh,
Yeah, but this is, in biosolids, it's definitely in the parts per billion.
Yeah.
States like Michigan have defined it by using different thresholds. And so I think they have an upper threshold of 100 parts per billion and a middle threshold of like 20 or 25 parts per billion. And that dictates how the biosolids, where they can be land applied, how they can be applied. So we're not there yet with Connecticut, but again, I just want to get on this commission's radar that this is an important compliance issue that we will need to address.
So this compliance is directed to Fairfield and Fairfield only. We're the only, am I right in assuming that?
Well,
What other plants or what other composting?
well, we're the only ones composting.
So this law is directed directly
It's-
at Fairfield? This-
No, it's not only directed towards facilities that compost, but it's directed towards biosolids management across the state.
Don't forget, the incinerators that burn sludge don't burn hot enough to get rid of PFAS. So the ash from the incinerator is sometimes applied.
Also applied to this, okay.
So we're not being called out specifically by
Well,
this
that
public act,
would
but
have been a different direction that I would have recommended, which would be,
sure, and we do have analytical results. So it's great that what we have been doing is we have been testing our biosolids for PFAS, the whole suite of PFAS. We've used 2 different test methods, so there's 2 different test methods out there. We've utilized both. We should move forward. A recommendation would be, let's just choose one and move forward with that one test method. I think there's one that's likely the method that the state is going to choose to move forward on. It's one that's being moved forward on by EPA and nationally. But because we have that analytical data, we know what levels that we're seeing. We're seeing levels under the 100 parts per billion threshold, but we do have PFAS in our biosolids. Yeah, it's not 0. It's not 100.
So does everybody.
Yeah, but I'm advising. It's not.
do we have any potential liability?
Again, it's a challenging question to answer. I think because this is this is promulgated, this is part of a public act, potentially we do.
And just my concern is that we had issues in the town about soil being contaminated, and we know the issues that come up during that. Are we opening ourselves up for something else that all of a sudden now we're selling, you know, it's going in all these other towns, I mean, all these other property owners there, are we gonna be liable since there's public access out there and they haven't had anything? And we tested it and we know there's PFAS in it.
So I think the best thing we could do is be as transparent as we can be with our current operations. And that's what I recommend, and that's what I've been doing moving forward with State of Connecticut. And so moving forward with letting them know that we have these questions. We are still running our processes as is, but we are moving forward. The first step is to obtain the analytical data so we can make informed decisions on how to properly manage our biosolids moving forward. The next step, in addition to acquiring the data, would be to track the shipments of the material that is being land applied. And I know I've asked John to help me work with our vendor. Yeah, yep. And they're doing some tracking. I just don't know how down to what detail they are tracking. I know we could track down to what town the shipments have been made to, but I don't know if we're actually tracking down to where it's actually been applied to the ground.
And if we put off the composting now until we have further definition of PFAS, how much, what is that? I'm really
Not cut it off, maybe have an alternate
I'm
study.
I'm really concerned with, just potential liability of all of a sudden, if we know that we're having it, we're tracking it, we know what our parts per million are, and then all of a sudden the state goes, oh, by the way, it's only gonna be 5 parts per trillion, and we're like, well, we didn't need
So
it.
we have about 4,000 cubic yards per year to manage. It's a lot.
So I'm not a lawyer, so obviously I can't speak to the whole liability thing, but PFAS is everywhere. And it would be impossible to prove that we are the cause of PFAS contamination anywhere in the
No,
United States.
they can approve, they can prove it, because now all of a sudden we have documentation on where we sent it.
And it's
We know
also
we sent it.
Right, but they would have to prove then that they didn't have it before.
Was it there before?
Yeah.
It's also important to consider that the state doesn't have significant data yet on background levels of PFAS. We are also acting more stringent, which we oftentimes do, than the feds. And so EPA hasn't enacted any type of similar ban on the land application of biosolids containing PFAS. EPA is very much still in the investigative phase themselves, and they are currently performing a risk assessment that they plan to release their findings on, later this calendar year, so in a couple months or early in 2025. There's still a lot of unknowns related to the place.
Just because of that,
I think concerns more environmental compliance with the new regulations. It's already in the groundwater
right now we're not,
almost everywhere.
right now we're not compliant.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
There is no limit. We can't be.
What's the law say?
It says no PFAS. And so
Okay.
again,
What do we have?
We have some.
There you go.
we don't know what.
No, it depends on how you define no. If I define no as
If I'm,
parts per million,
it says no, that means 0.
we have 100. No,
We also don't
true.
test, and we also don't have
No doesn't mean absolutely nothing.
we also don't have a reliable analytical test method.
Right, exactly.
And that's important to consider as
I
well.
pulled you over for speeding. What's the speed limit? I don't know. But you're speeding.
I know, I just have a concern about potential liability for the WPCF. And that's what I have a concern with, and this could open up where it is, and I would almost recommend just saying, having I don't know where, because it's a gray area, I agree, and I'm always cautious on, especially on the town side. If I'm a town body and I'm putting my town hat on, I'm not putting my private developer hat, putting my town hat on, I'm saying that my job is to protect the residents.
My take is we are currently in compliance with all known environmental regulations pertaining to PFAS. Because they're not defined properly.
Should we work on a study that if we're not in compliance, we have an alternative? should we be thinking about that study?
You don't have
Because this
to,
is coming. We know this is coming. And-
A recommendation would be to hire a consultant to come in and perform a evaluation for our biosolids management practices.
Should we be doing that?
I think given the October 1st thing, yes.
If there's any action that I see, we should be getting in front of this. And if
I agree with that.
consultant is what you need to get us in front of this, I mean, it should go on next month's agenda.
I don't think we have to necessarily do anything with that, though, do we?
It could be earmarked in our capital outlay of our operating budget potentially.
In your operating
I feel
budget,
like
but
a
that's
study.
not going to be until July 1. Your new operating budget. Is that,
Is there any kind of discretionary funding that these two can tap to just do it? I mean,
of course,
we start with like
there's always money, but
30K
it's
study.
a question of the dollars that are in there.
I mean, if we need to approve something, then I agree. Let's get it on the November, but
That's basically what I'm asking.
yeah,
Should we approve something outside your budget, out of our fund, or a consultant to do what you think you need done, because this is coming? That's the question.
Yeah, and I think that's my recommendation that we do that. The timing of that is to the commission.
as soon as possible.
Has the town attorney given any guidance on this?
We haven't received guidance, but we haven't specifically
Any
sought
terms
guidance.
of just,
We haven't specifically sought guidance from the town attorney. So.
But you've already reached out to Deep with your questions and they haven't responded yet.
They've responded
They have.
and they said they acknowledged. They also have questions from others in regards to biosolids management, and they are drafting a response to all questions.
That's good. Chris, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I agree with Christina there, is that I think we should have our town attorney give an opinion on it. But I'm just, to be honest with you, I'm really nervous with this whole regulation and where we are, because we know. That's just my 2 cents.
And is it the town attorney, or should he go for an environmental attorney? But that's, I assume, up to him.
well, the town attorney, I say town attorney, but he
Would
His
farm it
firm
out,
has
right?
different,
Somebody with.
different within the firm.
Credentials, right.
And if they don't,
So yeah, we should get in front of it because it's coming.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can
Considering we're one of a kind.
plan in terms of the biosolids study, but I mean, no concrete decisions can be made, at least until we get a response from Deep on those. The answers to those questions impact everything, so.
And John, what do you think it would cost us to dispose of the biosolids that we have without composting right now? You
Bring them.
Yeah, this is,
It's crisis,
So,
right? Connecticut.
we can't.
is crisis.
so that we should explain to our attorneys too, is that the process that we have, there's no other way to get rid of it.
you can't get into an incinerator.
So what else are we gonna do? Okay. That's-
Woonsocket, Rhode Island is actually shutting down, is not taking any more liquid sludge. One of the only incinerators in the Northeast. They're not taking it anymore. Can't. Naugatuck is, everybody's at capacity. They won't rebuild because of the EPA regulations as far as smoke and everything else. So they're operating on a wing and a prayer on stuff that's really old. And everybody that can is going there, and if you want to get in there,
You getting it?
they ain't taking it.
What other states are doing?
So we
For
can
their-
look
for
at,
their bio,
so
for
we
their,
could look at not, so this is very few states are addressing PFAS and biosolids in this way. So as I was saying, Maine, Michigan, Wisconsin, there's a handful, there's about 5 inclusive of Connecticut.
okay.
I mean, EPA just changed the water, which water always leads wastewater in regulations. They just changed from 10 parts per trillion to 4 That's the detectable limit.
And to add on to this, we should be preparing and we'll be preparing for when our permit comes up for its next renewal in 2026. That we will be seeing requirements in there for PFAS monitoring.
Right.
Influent and
We
effluent.
should be ready with our solution of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know
If
technologies on the wastewater.
If any.
as much. Like you filter on that.
Wouldn't be treatment, it would be monitoring that would come out. Yeah, we wouldn't have effluent limitations.
Right.
Jump right there from nothing to effluent limitations.
All right. Well,
Hey, no.
going out with a bang. Yeah, do I have a motion for adjourn?
Second. Motion.
Motion, second, all in favor?
Thank you. Thanks.
All right.